Oke, kita akan lihat untuk Google ini ulang tahun yang ke-25. Kalau menurut waktu di laptop gue ini sekarang tanggal 27 September ya, tahun 23. Nah, kita coba klik nih. Sebenarnya ulang tahunnya itu bertepatan di tanggal berapa? Oke. Nah, ternyata ini untuk berdasarkan keterangan dari pencarian Google sendiri, ya ternyata benar guys. Is today Google 25th anniversary? Ya benar, 25th anniversary falls on September 27. Berarti emang itu ulang tahunnya setiap tanggal 27 September. Ini logonya kayak tipe huruf Arial, tapi terasa kaku guys. Ya guys, ini jadi hari ini bertepatan dengan ulang tahun Google yang ke-25 ya, seperti yang bisa lo lihat di layar. Nah ini doodle-nya ini memperlihatkan perubahan logo Google dari waktu ke waktu. Nah terus terang kalau untuk logo yang sekarang sih gue kurang begitu suka guys ya. Yang gue nggak suka dengan logo yang sekarang nih. Ini ada satu logo lagi nih yang menurut gue yang paling gue sukai, nanti gue bilang nih. Sebentar kita tunggu guys perubahannya. Nah ini yang paling bener, ini yang barusan tadi yang paling bener guys. Ya ini tadi gue mau ngasih tahu logo yang paling gue suka itu. Ya ini sambil kita jalankan ya untuk video yang tadi tangkap layarnya. Nah ini adalah satu logo yang paling gue suka. Nanti gue pause pada saat menampilkan logo yang paling gue suka. Oke, kita tunggu ya. Nah ini guys, ini dia nih, ini logo yang ini nih yang paling bener kalau menurut gue guys, dibanding logo yang sekarang gitu kan. Ini udah bagus kan, tipe hurufnya gue suka guys. Jadi ya kayak Times New Roman tapi sedikit dimodifikasi begitu ya. Ini yang paling gue suka dan menurut gue udah yang paling bener, yang paling tepat gitu ya. Kalau logo yang ini yang sekarang sih kayak kayak nggak pas aja gitu kan. Yang mana nih, yang tadi nih? Nah ini ya menurut gue ini kurang ya. Kalau ini logo yang paling culun ya guys. Ya ini menurut gue ini logo yang paling culun. Ya ini awal mula terbentuknya Google guys. Tahun-tahun awal Google mulai operasional gitu kan, logonya seperti ini. Bisa lo lihat guys. Oke, happy 25th anniversary for Google. Ya guys, ini kali ini gue pakai topi fedora ya dan kemeja kotak-kotak warna abu-abu krem ya. Pengen coba tampil beda aja guys ya. Iya ini kita berharap sih bisa berhasil kali ini guys. Oke deh. Ya makasih untuk perhatian kalian semua. Ya guys, berjumpa kembali ya dengan gue nih ya. Jadi ini gue mau cerita sedikit aja nih mengenai channel gue yang ini cukup menarik guys. Jadi ya seperti biasalah gue ngumpulin subscriber gitu kan dengan cara nge-publish beberapa film kelas bintang guys. Karena memang yang seperti yang sudah berjalan selama ini dan sudah terbukti ya guys, film-film kelas bintang itu sebagai banyak
menarik viewers gitu kan, dan memperbanyak juga watch hours guys, ngedongkrak watch hours, ngedongkrak viewers, dan juga bisa mendulang banyak subscribers guys ya. Itu terbukti, udah kebuktian lah di beberapa channel gue yang lain itu sukses menggunakan film-film kelas bintang. Ya ini makanya ini gue sekarang nyoba lagi nih ngedevelop gitu kan. Ya alhamdulillah udah berhasil mencapai 600 subscriber. Jadi untuk kali ini gue nggak nunggu sampai 1000 subscriber, 4000 jam tayang. Cukup dengan syarat minimalis 500 subscriber, 3000 jam tayang aja guys. Ya ini dan ternyata pun sampai dengan hari ini belum ada email approval ya. Ya kirain gue bisa mulus gitu, ternyata kayaknya ada jeda gitu. Kalau ya kekhawatiran gue sih biasanya yang jedanya lama-lama gitu untuk email pemberitahuannya biasanya ujung-ujungnya nggak di-approve guys, atau di-reject untuk monetisasi gitu kan. Makanya ini gue mau coba aja nih, mudah-mudahan kali ini sukses lah. Ya karena ya gue sih berharapnya gue nggak cuma punya satu channel yang monetisasi, tapi lebih dari satu gitu kan. Mengingat ada kejadian buruk guys, beberapa waktu lalu itu ada channel gue yang udah berhasil approve monet, tahu-tahu kena dismonet, malah udah jatuh, istilahnya apa ya kalau peribahasa udah jatuh tertimpa tangga gitu ya, udah gitu channelnya kena di remove lagi. Waduh, wah kacau. Itu channel tadinya gue mau tawar-tawarin guys, mau gue jual ke orang-orang, cuma nggak laku, nggak ada yang nyangkut gitu kan. Offering gue udah dikasih harga murah gitu kan. Ya dasar orang Indo emang terlalu banyak gaya, terlalu banyak jual mahal guys. Ya gitulah biasa. Ya mereka nggak menghargai betapa susahnya sebuah channel untuk di-approve monetisasi gitu kan. Ya itu memang nyebelin sih menurut gue. Oke, ini kayaknya durasinya udah cukup guys. Saya akhiri sampai di sini dulu ya. See you next time on my next videos and my next live videos. Bye.
It's what so many of us crave these days. And there are still so many places in America where you can find that room to roam. We're heading to Grand County, Colorado, where rural lands and abundant trails are complemented by Rocky Mountain splendor. The mighty Colorado River and Continental Divide, historic dude ranches, the Rocky Mountain National Park, and national forest lands offer abundant opportunities to adventure near and far. We're exploring this part of the north-central Rocky Mountains and highlighting destinations where you can enjoy a sustainable vacation, get out on our public lands, and eat, drink, and travel like the locals. We're starting our adventures at Sea Lazy U Ranch, a historic dude ranch set alongside the Arapahoe National Forest in Granby, Colorado. Haul so many different horses here.
Yeah, we have 200 horses on the ranch. Through 10 to 15 years, they end up down in our kids program, and our kids will get to ride them until they go to retirement. So
These two are pretty chummy. I think we've got some friends right there.
yeah, it's kind of funny. Our horse herd is like I'd say like a high school class. There's little cliques, there's boyfriends, there's girlfriends. See, there we go. We bring the horses out to pasture every night, and we call it the jingle, and you'll get to see that here in a second. The jingle kind of was created because of those cliques. They used to hide in the trees in the morning when the wranglers went out to get them. So we put a jingle on those trouble horses. When we were trying to find them in the dark, you could hear the jingle and then go find them and get them to come in.
In 2020, as the world shut down from the pandemic, the ranch received a second hit when its historic 1920s barn was devastated by the East Troublesome Fire. Fortunately, the ranch has been able to recover quickly, including opening for guests during the summer of 2021. When you're in it for the long run, like the last 100 years, you're going to hit roadblocks. But this ranch looks forward to the future and staying open for another 100 years to continue the legacy.
And a lot of different families have been a part of the ranch. We've had guests come for over 65, 75 years, and kids that grew up here, and then they get to bring their kids here. And I think it's important that we look at this as a sustainable property that can be around for the next 100 years so they can use the ranch the same way we're using it today. And that's what's the beauty of a guest ranch experience, is it is fairly timeless, and you can just keep coming, and the horses will be the same, the land will be the same. It's a step away from the busy world that we all live in.
We're about to get busy on another level because it's time for the jingle, when all the horses run out to pasture for the evening. It's quite the sight to see. Now this is very Old West.
Yeah.
Wow, look at all of these beautiful horses. It's feeding time, baby. You definitely have to go horseback riding at Sea Lazy U. So Paul takes me out into the National Forest to explore some of the prettiest Rocky Mountain views.
So as we get up to this big vista here, this is one of the iconic view sheds of the ranch. If you look way off in the distance, you'll see the Indian Peaks, which is a part of the Continental Divide, and it's still got snow capped on it, and that's all part of the Arapahoe National Forest.
I'm making a stop in the town of Kremling to check out a local favorite watering hole, the Dean West, where owner John Harvey is introducing me to the family-friendly pub scene. John, tell me what a brew distillery is.
We're Colorado's first. We have a distillery right here, and then back here we've got the brewery.
It's a double header.
Yeah, definitely. Kremling is a very ranch-oriented town. There's a lot of fifth-generation ranchers here, and all around the whole area of Kremling, outside the town proper, is all cow ranches and stuff like that.
So lots of people that definitely love the great outdoors, because even right here, the views are really pretty.
Yes, definitely.
Cheers.
Cheers. Nice and light.
Nice and light, yeah. This will go good with all of these wings.
Yeah.
You guys don't skimp on the portions here.
No, definitely not. That's a pound of wings. We got the full rack of ribs here.
Okay, fueling up.
Yeah, you got to fuel up to go play outside.
You got to. Next, I'm exploring Devil's Thumb Ranch, a sustainable, eco-friendly ranch resort, striving to conserve and preserve its beautiful Colorado land, which faces the Continental Divide. Brian, what are some ways that the ranch works to be sustainable?
Almost every focus of the ranch holistically is geared towards sustainability, eco-friendly, low-carbon footprint. Right here, we're seeing one of our 5 solar arrays that collectively can capture 228 kilowatts of energy annually, which is enough to power approximately 30% of the energy needs of the ranch.
The ranch, in fact, has the state's largest privately owned solar panel system. I love the reclaimed buildings. That's
Yeah, the
so
reclaimed
cool.
buildings are beautiful. We have the 2 Civil War era barns that were dismantled and then put back together on property, so all reused materials.
Sustainable and locally farmed produce, fish, meat, and game also contribute to on-site restaurants, offering pasture-to-plate cuisine for guests. Is this the famous Wagyu herd?
There's several categories of Wagyu. It starts out with like a percentage, then you can still call it Wagyu, and then it goes up to 50%, and then it's called purebred if it's 75%. Ours is 97.5%. That's where you get the great marbling in the steaks.
Well, I'm looking forward to trying this Wagyu beef. We head over to the Ranch House restaurant to try some of the ranch-raised Wagyu beef. It's housed on the 1930s original homestead for the Jaeger Guest Ranch.
We call it pasture to fork, basically. And when you get to this quality of Wagyu, it actually has the similar health benefits of eating salmon.
Very tender, juicy, a little salty. The meat tastes great. Next, we're visiting Latigo Ranch, where Hannah George and her dad, Randy, welcome guests to stunning views and hundreds of miles of horseback riding trails through the Root National Forest. One of the best parts of visiting a family-run ranch like this one is the individualized attention you get from family and staff, including on horseback rides. And what's his story, Hannah?
We adopted him out of Canyon City. So they have a program there where the prisoners train the Mustangs.
Yeah.
So we got him, and he was saddle broke. So this is his Mustang brand up here. This symbol right here indicates that he's property of the U.S. government. This symbol right here indicates the year he was born. So he's my 1998 Mustang.
I guess out here, then, your Mustangs are the four-legged kind.
Absolutely.
Hannah, Randy, and I are riding out to a spot that's one of Randy's favorite within the National Forest. Why do people come to Dude Ranches, do you think?
They come for the adventure, and they want a chance to experience the West, both the way it was and the way it is now. And so we have the opportunity to give them just a little bit of a taste of that. I mean, these mountains, they're unsettleable. You can't build a grid of highways up here, but you can ride it. And you can experience just a little bit of that freedom.
And that's so different from so many people's lives now, especially in cities.
So much so.
How does it change here with the seasons?
So coming out here in the fall feels like you're in a cathedral. You kind of have this vaulted feeling. You can just feel your soul lifting up to heaven as the leaves come down across the road. It's really quite remarkable. It's like it's out of a fantasy novel or something.
As we get deeper into the forest, I come to understand why horseback riding here is such an adventure. This is like something out of a movie, Hannah.
It really is, isn't it?
Not a bad place to end our ride today, huh?
No, man.
Mountain biking is popular in this part of Colorado, and there are lots of trails that are not only beautiful, but that actually lead you into towns that you can explore. I'm meeting up with Ray Sullivan of the Headwaters Trails Alliance to go mountain biking from one of her favorite trails in the Arapahoe National Forest into the town of Fraser. So Ray, what's going on over here? I've seen some towers and other structures.
Yeah, so this part of the forest is actually called the Fraser Experimental Forest, and it's one of 7 experimental forests across the nation, and it has one of the oldest records of climate history regarding the snow in the entire country.
That's fascinating, and I know you guys get the snow to measure that here.
We do. We get an average of over 320 inches a year here in the Fraser Valley.
It's why nearby Winter Park is such a popular place to ski in the winter. I'm fascinated by the Fraser Experimental Forest. So much of the water that we consume comes from our public lands, making monitoring and research so important.
So Darley, do you see way ahead of us on the ridge there?
Yeah.
That's the Continental Divide.
Oh, okay. As part of her job with the Headwaters Trails Alliance, Ray knows the trails really well. The nonprofit works to educate people about area trails and responsible recreation. From my work in traveling to film in so many national forests, I know that nonprofits like this are really vital in helping to keep trails like these accessible to all.
Super popular area to ride here because it's very family friendly. It's got some good beginner trails, but it's also got some really great expert trails. And then of course, riding along the creek the way we are is soothing to the soul to hear the babbling.
It is nice to hear that rushing water and always to see these mountain views mixed with this greenery.
Yeah. All right, so we're making our way to Fraser. Only about five more miles. And then we get cocktails.
All right.
So this is where we're popping out about halfway through the ride and starting to see up valley towards Fraser.
The view is amazing, Ray.
Yes, this is one of the locals' favorite spots to come. It's an older trail above what was one of the original homesteads in the valley and one of the original stage stops coming in off of Berthoud Pass.
Such rich history and continually great views. And if Ray sounds out of breath right now, it's because we're riding at high altitudes. The nearby towns of Fraser and Winter Park are at over 8,500 and 9,000 feet above sea level, meaning if you're not from around here, you may need to adjust a bit to the altitude. We're rewarding ourselves for a ride well done with a stop at family-run Fraser Valley Distilling.
All right, way to go. All right, girls.
Inside, Jenna Young shows me around.
This is our still room here at Fraser Valley Distilling. Today we have our vodka coming off the still. One of the things that makes our vodka special is our high mineral content water that we get here in Fraser. But we also pick local juniper that goes into our juniper gin. So the family does that, goes out hiking and brings some bags with them and has a day.
Well, I love that this is such a family operation. So it's you and your mom and dad and your brother.
And sister.
And your sister, okay. How is it really working with your family?
We get that question a lot. What's amazing is that we still really like each other every day and we hang out with each other outside of the work, which is almost insane. But it's a family and we push each other's buttons and there's tension some days.
And there's probably plenty of alcohol to go around. So
the alcohol helps, yes.
This is one of your picks.
This is our Colorado bourbon. So bourbons have to be at least 51% corn, but most are in the 70%. We've chosen to have a low corn, high barley content. So it's 55% corn from Colorado.
It has like a toasty caramel flavor to it.
Absolutely, and that's coming from the barreling process and the malt forwardness.
It's much smoother than I thought it would be.
Yeah, you know, we care a lot about how we're making it, how we do the cuts and the aging process. We want to give you guys a nice, smooth product.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Next, I'm heading to Grand Lake to take a hike in the Rocky Mountain National Park and ride on the lake in a convertible. That's right. Grand Lake is the western gateway to Rocky Mountain National Park, with hundreds of miles of hiking trails to enjoy. Emily Hagan is taking me on a hike along the East Inlet Trail to Adams Falls.
So this is a great hike for kids because it's like instant gratification. It's only a third of a mile to an amazing waterfall.
Good for kids and good for those of us who are not used to the high elevations. The mountain town of Grand Lake was devastated in October 2020 by the East Troublesome Fire, which destroyed over 500 structures, many of them homes. Scars from the fire can be seen throughout the town and in the park. Emily, this is your first time back in the park since the fire.
Yeah, I haven't had the heart to be on this trail since last October when the East Troublesome Fire came through.
How devastating was that to the community in the park?
It was very devastating. You know, we had 7 minutes to evacuate our home. We didn't know if we'd ever have anything to come back to. This fire burned almost 200,000 acres. It was the second largest fire in Colorado's history. 100,000 acres of that happened in one night.
I come from New York City, so it's hard to fathom, but it seems like it would be a very scary experience. It sounds like you guys really pulled together.
We did. This is a really resilient community.
Well, I can hear the waterfall from here.
Yeah, it's really active this time of year when the snow is melting.
This is kind of one of the iconic places in Grand Lake, but it's still a really good kept secret. Well, and when you say iconic, it reminds me of, this is what I picture when I think about national parks and our national parks in the USA. This type of amazing scenery.
We head down into the town to take a ride out on the lake with Rocky Mountain Amphicar Adventures. Owner John Bevins was paralyzed by a spinal fracture from a sledding mishap back in 1982. In an effort to find new ways to get over life's new, everyday challenges, he began collecting amphicars, civilian passenger automobiles that double as motorboats.
All right, there's not any water coming in yet, so I think we're okay.
Give it a chance. The lake's sole purpose is to get in every boat.
This is wild.
It is wild.
The Amphicar was built in Germany from 1961 to 1968. Only a few thousand were made, and John has amassed a small collection.
Well, you're living the good life out here on the lake.
I'm living our best life.
Yeah.
I've spent my whole life waiting for a job like this.
Cool way to cruise.
I love our commute.
Yeah.
It's got to be the best commute anywhere.
Next, Emily and I are checking out downtown Grand Lake, with its locally owned shops and restaurants.
I like how the sidewalks are these boardwalks.
I'm really glad that you noticed that. So these are actually historic boardwalks. They've been here for over 100 years, and they've been transporting people around Grand Lake as long as people have been here.
That's so cool. Yeah, there's so much history here, and I love that it's kind of that Old West history as well. And is this a rubber ducky store?
It is. There's a duck of every kind in that store.
Oh my gosh.
So cute.
Back down by the lake, we're stopping for a sweet treat.
So Yaaach's is a family that's a cornerstone of this community. And this place opening really signals summer for the locals.
Well, there's so many choices, but I think I've already targeted what I'm gonna get. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Before heading over to play mini golf at a course with a Rocky Mountain theme. We're capping off the day at Grand Lake Lodge. Listed on the National Register of Historic Places, Grand Lake Lodge dates back to the 1920s. It has some of the best area views of Grand Lake and Rocky Mountain National Park, especially at sunset. Next, we're riding horses at Drowsy Water Ranch. Located in a valley in Granby, Colorado, this part of Colorado has a variety of dude and guest ranches that welcome people of all ages to saddle up, grab a rod, and play outdoors.
So Drowsy Water Ranch has been a ranch since the 40s. It's been a working ranch since the early 1900s. Most of the cabins are original exteriors. They've been updated on the inside. Ken and Randy Sue own the ranch now, and they have owned the ranch since 1977. So they've raised 2 boys here who are now married, and all the family is working together.
Drowsy Water Ranch has over 100 horses that were bred or raised right on the ranch. With an extensive kids program, this dude ranch has a reputation for welcoming families, many of whom travel here to get a better sense of a different kind of lifestyle. Dude ranches offer a chance to slow down and unplug from modern life.
You do, obviously here you feel like you're apart from everything.
You do, yeah, and I think that's one of the nice things about where we are. It's kind of that forced break from technology. I mean, they get a little bit of cell service, but it's nice for them to enjoy the company of others, to get to talk to their family. And it is fun to see, especially the families, just reconnect without devices in their hands.
Yeah, that's much more rare nowadays.
We've ridden up to an even higher elevation to enjoy views of the Continental Divide in the distance and miles of beautiful nature. It's nice to ride off the grid sometimes, especially in Colorado. Back at the ranch, it's time for dinner in the historic lodge. And while the kids enjoy an outdoor barbecue, adults are dining by candlelight. After a day outdoors, a more upscale meal is our reward. The horses are getting time off too, heading out to pasture, where they'll spend the night grazing under Colorado skies. I'm going fly fishing on the Colorado River at the oldest continuously running dude ranch in Colorado, Bar Lazy J. I get fly fishing wisdom early on in my lesson with Trip Rankin.
We're gonna have to be able to adjust what we're doing, so we might be changing flies 5, 6, 7 times just to make sure we're keeping up with what's going on the river at that time.
Wow. So you really need to pay attention to nature to be able to fly fish.
Nature has all the keys to success. You could pay attention to her and have a really great day, or you could ignore her and have a really bad day. I think it's probably best that we pay attention to her and let her teach us the ways for today.
Here, let me try to flip it correctly.
That's okay. We're gonna kind of rotate our wrist this way, and we're gonna kind of cast like that.
Okay. Oh, wow, you did it, and it was working really easily when you led my wrist.
There we go, good.
Okay. What do you like best about fly fishing?
I like this part of it where we're sitting in the river. You can hear the birds chirping.
We change out our flies several times as we read the water and fish to figure out what will work to hook them.
Like I said, it's a lot of trial and error.
Persnickety flies.
Exactly.
And though I'm not having as much luck at catching any fish,
Come here, little fishy. Oh,
Trip is.
Yay!
There it is.
Good job. Gotta come out with the experts.
So this
We
is one
caught
of
a
the-
fish.
We caught a fish.
Well, he does look tasty, but I think we'll let him live today.
Unfortunately, we gotta let him go.
Catch and release.
Back in Granby, I'm teeing off at Grand Elk Golf Club, a course inspired by the Scottish Heathland courses, with a fun way to get around. I'm heading to YMCA of the Rockies at Snow Mountain Ranch, where beautiful scenery, history, and fun combine for a budget-friendly family vacation. Historian Karen Lloyd D'Onofrio is introducing me to a homestead, which dates back to 1919 and is on the property. It was the home of Fred Raleigh.
Well, the Raleigh family, they had quite a view here at the homestead.
Yeah, this is probably why he built this here.
Well, it's neat to look inside this cabin. Tell me a little bit about what their life was like here.
You know, they had no running water, no electricity, and it was really a sustainable life out here for him.
It's remote, but it's not remote because it's 5 minutes and I'm in a town today.
Right.
But for them and for the homesteaders in this area,
Yeah. It would have been really hard. You know, we have a short summer season up here. So, you know, we have summer, we have mud season in spring and autumn, and then we have snow. And so their life was pretty much tied to the seasons in that respect too, because we're probably, I don't know, about 3-4 miles from the main road here. But for them, it would take them a whole day to get into Tabernash and then back, you know, to market. And so they would have had sleds that the horses would have pulled that wouldn't have been necessarily just for the snow. It would have been for the mud too. So it was very isolated here.
It's interesting to think about life revolving around the seasons in that way for survival back then, when today life revolving around the seasons is like ski season, hiking and mountain biking season.
Yeah.
I mean, more leisure pursuits as opposed to how we can live.
You know, obviously we have logging that went on in here in the late 19th century and is still going on today. So it's still an important industry within Grand County. And so we have the logger's cabin over there that we found on property when we bought the land, and we moved it down here just so that we could help tell that story too of how this land has been used, you know, since the settlers came in the 1870s.
A glimpse into the past mixed with fun in the sun. Summer at the ranch allows for lots of adventures, including at the summer tubing hill.
This is awesome.
That's actually really fun.
Next, I'm heading to the rodeo. The Granby Rodeo at the Flying Hills Arena has been going on since 1969 and welcomes people from near and far. We get a very warm welcome. And an insider's view on this Granby area tradition. I'm ending my adventures with some sweet and savory treats at Debbie's Drive-In. Entrepreneur Debbie Fitch raises her own beef cattle and serves up farm-to-table slow food served fast. And it's tasty.
Thanks so much for joining me in Colorado. And thanks for watching.
You will flick back this wrist, avoid all face and other objects near around you.
Game of Thrones. This feels healthy. Oh. Back onto our land.
I feel like I might have a leak too.
Drank all yours.
I ran out, yes.
Oh, so close.
Let's do it again.
Oh, so close.
There's nothing better than catching your own, but if you buy your fish, the chances are a trawler has hoovered it from the sea by the ton. But there are more environmentally sensitive options. Brian and his dad, Don from Tauranga, are old-school commercial fishermen.
Hey, well, it looks good enough to get some chilli and a bit of spring onions and fry that up for some early breakfast.
It's actually food grade if you know.
Is that right?
Yeah. A lot of oil in it. So, you know, give it a go, just straight through, pick the hook up, hook it under and roll it in.
All right, and how many of these do we have to do?
A couple of thousand on a good day.
Is it a good day today?
Yeah.
Right.
There's a bone in the middle, just go to one side.
Oh, I think
that'll probably not catch much, but anyway.
I'm strangely hopeless at this.
In this tray, we sort of haven't got all day. Nothing fancy, just long as it's through the flesh of it.
Like a thing of beauty, isn't it? Look at that.
Brian and Don fish with long lines. Fish are hooked on a line, landed in top condition, and thus fetch top dollar. The bonus is that any undersized fish go back in the sea, fighting fit to grow bigger.
Did you make these yourselves?
Yeah, everything we made ourselves.
Everything you made yourselves, including the boat?
Yeah, the boat, yeah.
Outrageous.
1971, I put it in the water. Anything that could float would go to the Chathams in those days. That was, the crayfish boom days.
Right.
It's 40 years old
Yeah,
now.
40 years, still going strong.
I didn't think I'd be here. I thought I'd been shark chuck along before. It's coming up 80 this year, so...
80?
Yeah.
Oh, it must be a pretty good lifestyle. It's kept you, fit and healthy. And you've still got all your fingers. You don't look a day past 62.
Okay, Sonny.
Line over the side.
That's it.
It'll go.
Here we go. So on an average day, how many hooks would you put out?
7,000 metres a line.
So that's 7 kilometres?
Yeah, 7 Ks, yeah.
Jeez, imagine rolling that in by hand.
You don't want a gear failure as far as the hauling goes.
I used to go fishing with my granddad. He moved to the beach, as many retired farmers do, bought a boat, and there's a wonderful thing just spending time. When there's nothing really to do, you just sit and wait for fish to bite and chat with your granddad. It's one of those wonderful pleasures that I imagine a lot of kids don't ever get the chance to do. You know what, this is a lot more exciting than going to the supermarket and buying some fish in a can. Hey, I've got one of those. A red gurnard. Look at that. Yeah, that is a red gurnard. I love the red gurnard. Look at that. They've got the little leg things there. Little legs. Look at those. Look at those beautiful wings. You can go back because you are absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. Beautiful fish. Gone. I love watching fish swim away. Off they go, wiggling their little tails. There's something really quite joyful about releasing fish. Yeah, learned to do that with my granddad.
That was $22 worth of fish I just let go, and worth every penny.
Well, this is, it's obviously a pretty labour-intensive way to fish. Why do you choose to do it this way?
It's really a high-valued catch for the amount of quota we've got available to catch.
People regard your fish pretty highly,
Yep.
Obviously just
well, it's not knocked about. It's pretty much coming on as it comes out of the ocean. I mean, this fish is completely unbruised from here. Taken off the hook, basically instantly kill it to relax and make the flesh a lot better to cook. And then it's straight into our ice and it's chilled.
Delicately caught. You know, they're not bruised, battered. Well, they will be battered eventually.
Yeah, that's true. We might get something different to a snapper soon if we're lucky. From the sort of peak fishing of the 70s into the 80s, which had an effect on the stock, we never thought we'd catch snapper like this again. It's certainly improved quite radically. And that's why quota becomes so important.
Gonna go on someone's dinner plate?
You won't see many gurnard in the shop windows with all the wings still intact.
So I guess, in the future, restaurants will be sort of, as they have the free-range pork and the free-range chicken they'll have, and it's long-line snapper.
It just tastes better. Nothing like really fresh fish at the end of the day. We'll repack the fish into good, clean bins, and I'll go into a little chiller truck and keep that cold chain all the way through. We get good feedback from buyers, and everyone knows the brand.
Don and Brian's fish are a prize catch for seafood connoisseurs like Jimmy from Auckland's Harbourside restaurant.
They've got good fish, haven't they?
Well, it looks like his skipper's working on making sure he's looking after his product.
Look at that. Pornographic.
Ideally, I wish, all the fish down at the market would be long line. The quality's better. It's more of a sensitive way of fishing. It's an ideal world, that would be great. Well, some of that's going to be used. We'll do some sashimi.
Oh, yeah. You get to the point where someone comes in and they say, what's the fish of the day? And you say, it's this. And they go, oh, that's a bit endangered. I better eat that now because I may not get another chance.
Well, it's right. Tuna's going off the menu and stuff. It's just getting hammered, And I think most of the psyche of New Zealanders today are thinking about they want their grandchildren to go out and be able to catch a snapper. And Auckland's just amazing. You just go out there in February and March in your kayak, put your line out, and you can generally catch a snapper.
Good day.
There's not many cities in the world like that.
No, that is true.
Delicious. Absolutely delicious.
While we have quotas and can police them, our island neighbours feel the presence of the big international fleets more keenly. I'm off to Tonga to meet Dr. Sitiveni Halapua, who has been casting his eyes over Tonga's waters for the last 30 years. He studied traditional fishing methods in the 70s and wants to see a return to these more sustainable ways. But before I meet him, I'm off to my luxurious resort.
There is just something thrilling about arriving in a country in the night time. They appear to have I just saw a lot of corned beef in that shop, Palm. I think it's with the red and yellow can. One of my favourites of all of canned corned beefs. Now, a lot of people come to tropical islands to relax. I come to savour as they do with canned corned beef. Quite looking forward to it. There's no electricity, and I'm not sure whether that's because they don't have electricity or whether the cyclone knocked it out about a month ago, but I've prepared corned beef mixed with some Waddy's baked beans, mixed together into a sort of wholesome slurry. It is everything I hoped it would be and more. To be fair, it is a little bit fatty, but it's got, you know, the baked bean flavour with the lovely sort of corned beefness. Eat your heart out, Simon Gould. Doesn't get any better than this.
For 6 days, the main street of Nuku'alofa bustles with activity. On Sunday, it's a ghost town. And where have all the people gone? Well, in Tonga on Sunday, the answer is to church. No one works on Sunday without special permission. There are no shops open. Even a friendly game of tennis could bring down the wrath not only of the church, but also of the law.
Given that, I'm loafing off to church to talk fish with Sitivini. Fish is a dietary staple for 1 billion people. It's crucial in poorer countries like Tonga, where fridges or reliable electricity aren't common. Fresh protein is their lifeblood. If fish goes off the menu, then things like canned corned beef take its place. And it's not hard to figure out that that isn't good for the nation's health.
This is the Sunday before the season of Lent.
In the 70s, Sitivini saw Tongans socialise and sustain entire communities through fishing. Then, the international fleets and the global marketplace arrived, and everything changed. Well, almost everything.
I wish I'd come on a day when the market was happening.
It's required by law that you have to rest.
That is
and
great.
look after yourself.
Whatever happened to those days?
Now everybody wants to work 7 days a week.
Exactly.
No, I said, no. In the old days, you can come here and you can be very selective in what you want to buy. But nowadays, you have to buy what is there. A lot of reef fisheries now are depleting. Also in the open sea, the foreign fishing vessels are now exploiting the deep water resources. When you buy a piece of tuna in a restaurant here in Nuku'alofa, the chance that it's been from a Korean tuna fishing vessel or Chinese or Taiwanese, it's very, very high.
Since their fishing grounds, out beyond the reef, have been discovered by the Korean and Japanese fleets, bonito and tuna are now more difficult to locate.
Nowadays, we have the foreign fishing vessels, but the local fishermen, the Tongan fishermen, are not used to that kind of lifestyle. We have to go out away from their family for weeks or months. That's not their style, They depend on small-scale fishery. They catch what they eat, and they eat what they catch,
They're not going to be going in a boat like that.
That one was a foreign aid from Japan, and the fishery could not afford to run it. So they anchored there for a number of years now.
Because I guess that's the problem, isn't it? You get these boats and you just can't afford to put fuel in them.
That's absolutely right. But even worse, that boat, you have to go out fishing for at least 2 weeks. You put a Tongan there, you're lucky if we stay out there for 3 days.
Yeah.
I think we have to go back to the small-scale fishing.
And it can be quite dangerous too, can't it? Because, in the book, you put them there at night with spears, spearing enormous fish.
One particular case I still remember, one of the fishermen was bitten by the shark, and he got his leg. The thief closed on his feet, and I remember I was watching a cowboy movie. Somebody was shot, and he was kind of dying, and somebody lit a cigarette, gave to him. So I came to my mind, there was no first aid kits or anything, so I lit a cigarette and gave it to him. The shark has been struggling for a while, and sort of died, I identified it to cut the shark head and not to open it, and took my shirt off and tied the shark head to his leg while he was lying there with his cigarette and puffing away. And after that, we took him back to the beach, and He refused to go to the hospital. He wanted to sell his fish first. So I called my father and asked him if he could come to the beach and buy this fish. Otherwise, this guy would be dead.
You built him pretty hard here in Tonga, eh?
Yeah, it's very tough, you know.
I reckon that's the greatest fishing story I've ever heard.
Like Sitiveni, the UN thinks switching from trawler fleets to more sustainable local artisanal fishing will help ensure fish and island communities have a future. The Pacific has over 225 purse seining boats from 16 countries. Using the latest technology, including sonar, spotter planes and fish luring devices, when assembled, these fleets look like a small town from the air. Together, they catch 2.4 million tonnes of tuna every year.
The bottom of the net is pulled in together to form a huge purse, engulfing everything in its path. Echo-sounding equipment aboard the ship picks out the schools of fish below. With this system, modern electronics have done away with traditional guesswork. Later, the net is laid out for a few minor repairs. No ladies hairnet this one. It measures 2,100 feet long by 180 feet deep and weighs 6 tons.
I couldn't find the fleet, but then the ocean is very big. But with half the world's tuna coming from the Pacific, they're out there somewhere.
The thing about an exclusive economic fishing zone is that fish don't really respect boundaries. They swim where they like, and you can say, well, you can't fish here and you can't fish there, but fish don't care. In an age where a modern fishing boat could take as much in a single trip as a traditional fisherman could take in a year, we run into problems. It's like we're getting to the end of the fishing line. There's a metaphor in there somewhere. I'm trying to think of something clever to say about a sinker. But I haven't got anything.
While my metaphors sink like a stone, back in Waitakere, Sitiveni is working on a way to help Tongans fish while avoiding crippling diesel prices. It's a new boat based on the traditional Pacific Vaka. It'll be a modern, multi-purpose multi-hull powered by the wind.
Hello, gentlemen. Sitiveni, how are
Yes,
you?
yeah.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, yes.
Right. So what's the plan? What stage are we at the moment?
The idea is to bring the old idea of a Vaka, multi-hull stuff, and apply a modern technology and mix them so that we don't have a boat that is going to Tonga and anchor out and waiting for somebody to put fuel in the tank. Now we're talking about a boat that maximizes the use of the wind in the sail and have a small engine for when it is needed. We want to bring the Vaka and park it in here and let them apply that and see what we can get out of it.
So, like, pimp it up. Yeah, pimp my Vaka.
To work, the new Vaka needs to be not only light and strong, but easy to repair, which means experimenting with my old favourite, bamboo.
We've got a set of homemade pipe benders, and we've got cattle scales on it with our 20-tonne bottle jack and...
good old-fashioned Kiwi know-how.
When you're on the farm, use what you've got.
Exactly. And what you've got is some moron who's willing to jack it while you all stand at a safe distance.
The order of the day, to find out what will make the lightest and strongest mast possible.
360 kilos.
The goal is to make an ocean-going Vaka that can be fixed with local materials.
So this time we've got one with bamboo laminated to it. 180, 200. 23. The bamboo there, it's held the timber, stopped the timber shattering. Pressure's dropped off again. 280 kilos.
That's the most exciting day of science I've had in a long time. It doesn't get any better than blokes in a shed with a jack breaking stuff. Yeah, it's manly.
The tuna purse seiners I went looking for in the Pacific are not popular at the Whakatane Sport Fishing Club. In years gone by, their annual tuna fishing contest saw thousands of fishermen throw a goodly number of tuna on the scales. Recently, though, they renamed the contest. They had to, because for the last 2 years, they haven't caught a single tuna. Dennis and Matt want to show me what they've been seeing, or rather, what they haven't.
At the moment, we're just setting some lures. Well, I say we are, Matt is, in the hope of luring one of the giants of the deep. The chances of us catching anything are significantly reduced from what they used to be. And they say, you know, in fishing, it's got a lot to do with luck, but these days, with the big commercial fishing boats and their sonar and their helicopter and their cameras, it's so scientific and so industrial that the fish have absolutely no chance. Luck plays no part of it. Of course, we're not relying just on luck today either. We've got Simon and Wayne up in the plane, and they're looking for large sort of schools of anchovies, meatballs they're called.
Wakatani traffic, Oscar Foxtrot Charlie Cessna 182. It's between Rauremus and Whale Island, 1,000 feet, marine survey. Look at this.
Yeah, there's a big lot here.
Is it fish?
Could be a meatball, you know? Yeah. He's obviously seen it because he's circled around.
Yeah.
Yep, they've come across it.
Oh, we're coming up to a meatball. This is a very exciting moment. Good fishing around one of those. You can see where it is, there's birds.
See the skipjack attacking it now?
Yeah.
See that, Raider?
Oh, right, oh.
Basically what's happening is all the small anchovies are trying to be the one on the inside of the school. It's the one on the outside of the school get plucked off first.
Right.
So they form these tight balls.
It's like Friday night at McDonald's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why can't we just get a big scoop full of that and have some on a pizza? That is the most fish I've ever seen in one place at one time ever.
It's just a real shame we don't get the yellowfin there anymore.
You see those wonderful photographs in the clubhouse, you know, great black and white photograph of a boat with a whole line of tuna, and people think, oh, you know, no wonder there's none left, but just such a minuscule amount. You know, if you have a look at the club records all the way back to 1978, maybe a couple of thousand tuna in all of those years, which is one day's catch on a tuna boat.
Yeah, I mean, the recreational impact is so very minimal. The buzz it does give you is just incredible, you know, and years later you can still remember the moment, and some of the best memories I've ever had of being a young fella just hanging on for dear life and trying to wrestle a tuna, you know, is just incredible. But unfortunately, a lot of the younger generation isn't going to see that unless things change.
I'll catch a few skipjack and that'll be it.
Yeah. Go, Raider! You're away!
Gotta get into my fish chair.
You're a natural.
I've been watching a lot of Graham Sinclair.
In the past, the club has landed big-eye tuna weighing in at 140 kilos and yellowfin over 180. Now, all that's left are the skipjacks, and the fleets are targeting them so they can be canned for you or your cat.
Oh, that. The purse seiners that come in, what, 200 tonne of these a day?
Yeah, it's capable of scooping 200 tonne of skipjack a day.
I caught one. I'm going to throw that back in. You ever seen one of the big commercial boats coming in here, hauling fish out?
Yeah.
What'd that look like?
Oh, disgusting, to be honest. We saw the spotter plane come over and circle a few times. A big seiner came over and dropped his dory off, circled the school of tuna, and that was that. That was the end of them. Pulled it out.
Tons of it.
Yeah. They're just so good at what they do. It's incredible. They've got it down to a fine art. And, I mean, you can protect them in local waters, but because they migrate all around the world, if you protect them here and they're getting hammered elsewhere, it's not doing a great deal. Yeah. A lot of guys are just giving up. They're just not bothering anymore. Yeah, it is scary. You'd expect the older generation to kind of talk about what it was like in the old days, but I remember only 5-6 years ago coming out here on a day exactly like today, where you come across these meatballs of anchovies or bait, and you just see these massive yellowfin tuna just exploding all around it, and yeah, some of those are the best memories of my life. I'll never forget them.
Large island there, that's what we call the North Island. Tikika of Maui, the fish of Maui. I wonder what Maui would feel about the state of the fisheries these days. Never going to catch a fish that size again, Maui, I tell you that. Not here. So I guess it's really up to us to say, well, I don't think I'm going to buy tuna in a can. I'm not going to buy any particular form of fish that isn't harvested sustainably. Every time I eat a bit of fresh fish, I wonder, am I the last generation who can do that? Will we get to the stage where there's so little fish that the price of it goes through the roof that it's only ever caught on sustainable long lines? I mean, that would be ideal. But who's going to be able to afford that? You know, will we live in an era where those big trawlers hauling all of that fish out of the sea have gone because they've hauled it all out of the sea? I'm not going to say go out there and make the most of it while it lasts, because that really defeats the purpose. But what I should say is that every time you eat fish in the future, just ask yourself, I wonder where this came from. I wonder how much of it is left, and you should definitely enjoy every morsel, because it may not be around for too much longer. Or because we found fish too tasty.
So that's fish in the can, literally. Next week, I'm having a nosy into what labels like fair trade and sustainably produced mean. That takes me from a chocolate factory in Porirua to coffee fields in Africa and onto the home of the orangutans in Borneo. Crikey! Luckily, I'm planting trees to offset the travel. Honest?